Hello, I'm Phil Dolman and welcome to Trick of the Week. In this little weekly series, we're going to look at something that players do all the time, but is very rarely shown to you in any kind of instruction book. They're little tricks and tips and things you can stick away in your back pocket and pull them out when you need them when you're playing, when you want to do something that doesn't sound just like the normal run-of-the-mill thing that everyone else is playing. In this first one, we're going to look at a little run, 2 ways you can do it that will get us from a C chord to an A7 chord. And then we'll look at some places we can use it when we're not playing C's and A7s. It looks like this. So I went from my C chord and I got to my A7 chord. Somewhere that you might hear that is in what we would call a tag ending, which is that cliche where you just loop round and repeat the last line of the song like this. So I might be playing, I'm going to play D7, G7, C, and that should be the end of the song, but then I'm going to loop round using that little trick. I might go, one more time, play it again, and I can do that as many times as I like before I get to C and stop. But you can use it anywhere where you're going from a C to an A7. Let's break down what I'm doing and the timing of it. First of all, I'm playing my C with my ring finger, and then I'm going to put my second finger down on the second fret of that string instead. So I've gone down from the 3rd fret to the 2nd, and then I'm going to go down to the 1st fret with my 1st finger, that's just a C7 chord, and then straight from there to A7. So I have 4 things. I have the 3rd fret, the 2nd fret, the 1st fret, and the A7 chord. Now you'll notice I strummed then, and when I played it earlier on, I just picked out the 1st string. That's up to you. It works both ways. You could go, or you could pick out those extra notes. The timing of it is like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and. And it means that we land on that A7 a little bit early, which really helps because it gives us this little rhythmic push. 2, 3, 4, ba 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 ba. It gets us there a little bit early, and that's a really characteristic thing in a lot of music that uses these little kind of runs, things like blues and jazz and ragtime. So the way to practice it would be loop around a little pattern like this. D7 for a couple of beats, G7 for a couple of beats, and then straight into this. 1 and 2 and then fill up the rest of that bar and keep going around it. Okay, here's a variation on that, where instead of moving down one note, we move down the whole chord. It involves us playing a C chord as a bar chord at the 3rd fret, like this. So I bar the 3rd fret, and I play the 3rd string at the 4th fret, and the 4th string at the 5th fret. Now that's exactly the same shape as an A chord, and we're heading towards an A chord. What we're actually going to do is play the C, slide it down, and by the time we get to the A, we're also going to have taken off our ring finger to make it an A7. So we get this. And in fact, you could take off that ring finger at any point on that slide and it will sound fine. So I can take it off now. So don't worry too much about that. As long as we start off on a C that has got that finger down, so it's not a C7, and when we get to the A7 that finger's come off, anywhere in between we can lose that. Same rhythm, so we could do the same thing. D7, G7, D7, G7. It's a bit harder to do, but it has the same effect, it's just a little variation. Now I said at the beginning, what if we're not playing C to A7? Well, like a lot of things on the ukulele, we can move the whole thing up the neck. So if we were playing a D chord like this, notice how that barred D chord, which is a bar at the 2nd fret and then my little finger at the 5th fret of the 1st string, notice how that is exactly the same shape as a C chord, except we have a nut here on the uke, so I don't need this finger. But if I replace the nut with my finger and move it up 2 frets, it looks just like a C chord. Now it's a D chord. It's harder to do because we have to keep that bar down, but I can do exactly the same thing that I did before. So I would walk down to the 4th fret, to the 3rd fret, and then take that finger across and play what looks like an A7, but will now be a B7 barred at the 2nd fret. So now I get this. One more time. And you might have figured out by now that I can do that anywhere on the neck. So I could do it up at the 5th fret. Or at the 3rd fret. So whenever you find those 2 chords in a song, that's the way you can get between them in any key. See if you can slot this into your playing in one of the songs that you have. Look out for a C to an A7 and give it a go. I hope you've enjoyed this and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.